Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, or good night, wherever you might be. My name is Gabriel, and today I will be informing you guys about keeping basic maintenance on your car. Keeping basic maintenance on your car is very crucial for multiple reasons. Mainly, it keeps your car driving smoothly and it not breaking down on you as much as it should be. And I'm not talking about very high or hard things to do. It's something that you can do. Basic maintenance, something that you can just get a jack stand, some jacks, and that's it. Maybe a small little set of tools. You don't need a big, uh, multiple tools, special tools to do all this stuff. Basic maintenance is just a couple wrenches, a couple sockets, and that's about it. There's no big, um, there's no big something big that you need to do or something that you need to open. For starters, where to start in your maintenance is your oil. Oil is very important for your car. It keeps it lubricated and for not metal on metal contact. Metal on metal contact is very dangerous for multiple reasons. Metal on metal contact will heat up. Once things heat up, it will weld when it cools down. Welding or scratches or anything in your engine is crucial, such as the piston against the block engine. The engine block is is a solid material that it is hard to break, but since that car is spinning so fast, RPMs, revolutions per minute, up to 8,000 on some cars, it can lead up to some very extreme temperatures. And not having enough lubrication could damage one of those things. Either your engine block will crack, or your piston will gonna collapse, or in other questions also your crankshaft. There's a lot of things that could go very wrong just from not doing a simple oil change because you just didn't want to. Yes, sometimes not doing an oil change will save a little bit of money, but in the long run, you're just wasting money. Replacing an engine is not cheap. That's why it's important to have that lubricated. Once you have an engine lubricated, it runs up to spec. There's going to be nothing wrong with your engine unless it's a mechanical failure. It happens, maybe your timing's off. That's something else. That is something you leave to the professionals. But as basic maintenance, oil changes are very crucial. It might not look like something important, but having your oil in your engine is important, such as transmission fluid. Transmission fluid is also an important key detail that shouldn't be replaced as often, but could also lead to some mechanical failures if you're not keeping up track or keeping tabs with that. Transmission has a lot of parts. It controls it's connected to the drive shaft. Your drive shaft is connected to your rear diff. Or if you have a front wheel car, then you don't really have to deal with that, but you do have a transfer case in your front wheel drive car. But in a rear wheel drive car, I'm using this for an example because that's what's mostly common nowadays on bigger vehicles or other kinds of vehicles, but rear wheel drive is mostly in almost every vehicle. Mainly, they use front wheel drive mainly on big vehicles, but it also uses on small sedans or your everyday car. But your transmission is connected to your drive shaft. Your drive shaft is connected to your rear diff. If your rear diff fails on you, also rear diff is also has fluid inside because it has gears inside of it that needs to, you know, move so that your axles could move and you spin your wheels. That can also be an issue. With the wheels also have brakes in them. Changing your brake pads is also crucial. Brake pads have that thin material that is meant to wear over time. So wearing that is fine, but wearing it too much, the pad is going to make contact with the rotor. Metal on metal again. Once that metal starts cranking, it makes a weird squishing noise and it's really painful to the ear. But if you don't replace that, once you start hearing crunching, you have to replace the whole rotor and the whole brake pads instead of just changing the brake pads before. That's why it's crucial to do these things beforehand so that you don't end up paying more money. It might seem like you're wasting money, but if anything, you're helping yourself, your future self, because your future self is going to thank you for doing that basic maintenance before. Brake pads are really crucial too. It stops. Stopping is important while you're driving a car. Stopping properly is important while driving a car. Let's say you're going 60 miles per hour and something happens. You didn't replace those brake pads, you're gonna cause an accident. Brake pads are important. They stop you. It can also damage your whole car. Maybe something can fail. You don't brake hard enough. You crash into a wall. That's even more money that you need to waste now. Or just buy a whole new car depending on how bad the crash was. That's why it's important to replace these things beforehand. Brake pads are crucial for stopping and keeping you safe and other people safe. Another issue is air filters. Air filters might seem pointless to change, but not changing those air filters, you can clean them up. Those can be reused a little bit better or more than the other things. Like you can't just reuse a brake pad, or you can't just reuse oil because oil tends to burn, and once that burning starts, you're not you're gonna mess something inside, just like the pistons like we talked about. But air filters are important too. That's what feeds your engine. Your engine needs oxygen. It uses that oxygen to compress and then combust with the spark plugs. Spark plugs are also very important to change. Spark plugs they ignite. They ignite the fuel so that they can push the piston down and drive that train drive so that you can push forward. But spark plugs will burn over time, and not changing those could cause severe problems. It could lead you for a misusage of fuel, and fuel accumulating could cause to rust in your engine. And internal rust is very very crucial and very hard to replace. Sometimes you can even just damage the whole engine if spark plugs are replaced. And spark plugs are like this big. Spark plugs are very small little thing, but important. That's what keeps your engine going. Without those, it could lead to some very expensive repairs. Another way is also coolant. Coolant is also important. It shouldn't burn or anything of those sorts, but it is also important to make sure that you check your reservoir on your coolant to see if you're low or hot. To see if you're low or high. If you're low, you might be fine, but it could cause to some overheating in your car. Overheating your car, bad. You want to keep that coolant and that engine at a moderate temperature, or the spec that you need for that specific engine. Every engine is different. Everything needs a different type of coolant. German cars need different coolant. American cars need different coolant. They all need different coolant. But it's important to keep tabs with stuff like this because it could lead to devastating or even your life. It could cost your life not replacing these simple maintenance such as oil, air filters, spark plugs, and brakes. I appreciate you guys for listening to this. Hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, or good night, wherever you might be.